how do you lead a team that's culturally diverse, geographically diverse, technically diverse? I would claim you find many more tech leads in Bulgaria than you find in...
Hello everyone and welcome back to HackCast Season 4. We are here at our studio at the HackSoft office, and what we are doing, HackCast, is the official podcast of HackSoft, where we try to find the intersection between software development as an engineering topic and the business of running a software development company from the unique perspective of us being in Bulgaria, which is one of the fastest growing IT ecosystems in Eastern Europe. Before we introduce our guest, we have an improvement in our studio, and this improvement is because of me. Ivo, would you like to say a few words about it?
Yeah, our microphones just got a little bit bigger. They have a pop filter, and we are hoping that they will keep rather away from the mic, at least like 2 inches away, so you can have better audio. Let's see how it goes.
You should see the face, Teddy's face for the previous episodes when I'm like this close to the microphones, and I can imagine the horrors of her editing the sounds of everyone. But now we have pop filters, so kudos to Teddy. The sound should be better. And for this particular episode, we are going to talk about the business of the Bulgarian IT industry. I was really looking forward for this episode. And with us today, we have Timo Railo. Did I say this correctly?
You got it exactly right.
Oh, great. Who is the guy to talk about this topic, because he has over 30 years of experience in the IT industry, 17 of which are with the Bulgarian IT industry and running a company in Bulgaria, and he's been living in Bulgaria, in Sofia, for the past 10 years. So I have a geek joke here.
Go.
If Timo was a Warcraft 3 item,
okay,
he would be a tome of greater experience.
Oh my goodness.
This came to me this morning in the traffic. And before we dive deep into the topic of the business of the Bulgarian IT industry, Timo, please say a couple of words about you and about the East. And thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm super happy to be here. We met several times, and I think we've had very interesting conversations. Yes. I find it a little amusing that you bring in a Finn to talk about Bulgarian IT industry. So I'll try to tread carefully. I've always enjoyed working in Bulgaria, working with Bulgarian colleagues. I love it. I love living here. So obviously this is a topic that's very close to my heart. Bulgaria is my home. I'm from Finland, but I don't call it home anymore. It's a place where I go visit. It's my birth country, but Bulgaria is really my home. I come from East, and still until beginning of this year, I used to be the CEO of East. These days, I'm the CTO of East. So nice. It is kind of coming out of the closet and saying that, okay, yeah, I'm a tech nerd. My wife took the baton, and she's running the company as a CEO role. I'm super excited about that. So East, company I'm running.
Great name and branding, just want to say.
Thank you very much. There's several people I need to thank about that, but I mean the name goes back not 17 years, but almost. And East these days is a matchmaker between Nordic and Eastern European IT companies. We find culturally and technically fitting talent for outsourced IT needs.
So you basically, if I have to summarize and explain it further, you work with businesses that are located in the Nordics, which is Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Do you consider Denmark Nordics, or am I opening a can of worms? Or should we not go there?
Yes, Denmark is definitely part of Nordics, but it's not our target market. A topic of different Nordic cultures and the cultural fit in general, it would be a good topic for a podcast. Danish market is different from Finland, Sweden,
got it.
and Norway.
But the businesses are coming from the Nordics, and then the talent is coming from Eastern European countries, Bulgaria mostly, but you also mentioned Romania.
Yes.
And also, interestingly, North Macedonia and Albania.
So obviously, Bulgaria being our home base, so we started first in Varna, beautiful coastal city of Bulgaria. Those who don't know Bulgaria, ended there a little bit by accident. Found some excellent people there, and initially we were running with a similar business model as HackSoft. So we had development, we had design, we were doing digital marketing, backend systems, mobile apps, you name it. We did it in the digital world. And from there we kind of have transitioned to the current model of working.
Got it.
When did you start it?
We started 17 years.
17, all right.
Yeah. It was a very different market then, and Bulgaria is our home base, and obviously here we know the people. Culturally, we're very close, especially to Finland, but due the scarcity of talent, we've also had to expand. So already a few years ago, we started looking outside of Bulgaria. We have some excellent talent on the neighboring countries. We work with quite many Romanian companies, nice. North Macedonia, Serbia. Now there are interesting markets like Albania, kind of upcoming, super talent, very, very ambitious people.
Yeah, and that's good especially for the smaller countries. It's something to look forward to develop. And Bulgaria, so I pulled some numbers for the topic. We're going to talk about the business of the Bulgarian industry. And from Bascom's report for 2023, it's 4 billion euros in revenue, which accounts for 4.5% of the GDP of Bulgaria. And we were, before we started recording, we were discussing with Timo that for me, this sounds like a small, like a niche industry, the IT industry in Bulgaria. Yet it accounts for 4.5% of the GDP. And Timo made a very good point that it might be like small in total count. I was thinking that we are above 100K, but Timo, what are your...
because there's several ways of counting it, and you also have several different statistics. Bascom numbers tend to be a little bigger than many other estimates about it, because the outsourcing or nearshoring industry, if you count call centers, if you count different kind of back office functions, so we have accounting, we have different kind of business support functions, it is bigger. The numbers that we kind of see being maybe the closest are between 65,000 and 70,000, but this is IT talent.
All right.
And then again, when you look at IT talent, you have pure kind of staff augmentation, and then more and more companies are moving towards end-to-end solutions, actually solving business problems rather than staffing problems.
Yep.
But it's a sizable industry, and when you look at the size of the industry, it's not just the industry itself; it's kind of everything that it generates around it. At one point, Nokia was hugely important for Finnish economy, so it was Nokia alone was about 5% of the GDP. It's mind blowing, but then if you counted all the companies servicing this ecosystem, we were at over 10%.
Got it. So yeah, the network effect of the ecosystem here is actually also really important because it's not just the people working directly, but also the people servicing those companies. And for our listeners abroad, Bulgaria is 6.5 million in population. It's a relatively small country, especially because I was pulling some numbers for Poland, which are like their revenue for the IT industry was over 40 billion euros last year, but they also have a lot more people than us. And for Bulgaria, if you take me and Tivo, thanks to this IT ecosystem, we somehow managed to build a company and kind of be considered as middle class. I will not say we are exactly middle class, perhaps a little bit beyond that. Because there are folks with European funding and money who are a little bit above the middle class, but that's a different topic. It actually helped lift a lot of people out of poverty and helped a lot of people to earn enough money to live a decent life and help their parents as well.
Absolutely right.
It's kind of interesting if you look at the whole Eastern European markets that are very strong in IT. Yes, I wouldn't call most IT workers middle class. I mean, if you have a iOS developer with 5 years of experience driving Mercedes 63 AMG, maybe we are kind of a little bit beyond middle class in some of the cases, not in all the cases. What's something that a lot of people who are not coming from Eastern Europe don't often realize is how big the bracket is. So we have contrast in everything, and this is one of the things that I love about Bulgaria. There's contrast in everything. Whereas my home country in Finland is much more standardized. I mean. Salary expectations fluctuate like this. Your living standard, whether you a bigger company CEO or a teacher, the difference is not so big. Here, it's like it can be day and night.
It's really, really, really big. Yeah, and while I was preparing for this. Like at heart, the Bulgarian IT industry is service-oriented. Yes. I think it's safe to say that in the recent years there are more startups, but it's still safe to say that we are service-oriented. So, Timo, can you help us explain what the service business means? Because we are usually throwing some terms like outsourcing, outstaffing, team augmentation, my personal favorite, nearshoring. I'm always baffled by this word, so let's start by explaining those things, and then we will go into more details about the ecosystem itself.
Yes, this is it's a challenging topic to cover overall. If we start from the kind of the history of the market, Bulgaria first. Soviet computers were built in Bulgaria. Yeah. So Bulgaria has a very long tradition in IT and IT-related industries. I can see that, for example, level of math that we have just on normal Bulgarian school is very high. My son does both international and Bulgarian schools, and we can see that the math is way ahead of the American standard, for example. So there's a good base. Yeah. But sorry.
No worries.
Taking into account on how the industry has developed, we have been here very often what I call tier 2 or tier 3 providers, meaning that the direct contact with the end customers or the customer with a business problem has been traditionally serviced by a local company, and then we've been providing additional help. Maybe it's a team, maybe it's individual talent.
By a local company, you mean, for example, let's say take Germany, like a local German company is working with a German business, and then we, being tier 2 and tier 3, we are communicating mostly with the proxy and not directly with the client in the business.
Yes.
All right.
And this affects a lot of things. Firstly, of course, it's about how you selling things. So if you establish a good rapport, if you have a good relationship with an IT company, your selling, especially past years, has been quite easy. So it's about getting an email that, okay, we're just starting this project and we're going to need a Java developer, we're going to need a DevOps, and we're going to need a mobile developer. Can you help me out with this? And then you say, okay, I have the perfect guys, and this would be the price. This is very different from how this German company has sold on the local market.
All right.
What's kind of it's a bit of a cancer of the industry as well, are long supply chains. So
long supply chains?
Long supply chains, meaning that it might not be that a company here is tier 2. We might have company here that's tier 4, even tier 5, meaning that there are 4 companies between the talents and the clients. Obviously, this drives up the prices, but it also makes communication much more difficult.
Yeah. So, for example, with the Germans, we have a German business that's has been serviced by a German company that is tier 1, like directly speaking with the business. Then they hire a company in Bulgaria, which is tier 2. Then this company outsources or kind of hires another company that can also kind of hire freelancers or another company in order to get to the talent that will do the actual job. And then you have like this long supply chain, which also, if everyone puts 10 to 15% price increase at every step, sometimes even more, this will bump the price by a lot.
It will bump the price by a lot, and it's also something that can create distrust if it's not transparent. These days, clients understand very well that the industry has become very networked. Nobody has people sitting on the bench that are ready to jump on their need right away. So companies need to work together, and that's one of the things that I really like about Bulgaria. Companies know how to work together. Is okay, we don't have that talent. Maybe Rada has it. I pick up the phone and I check. Okay, Rada, can you help me out here? And there's a very smooth collaboration. And I think that's perfectly fine. But if I start saying that, okay, Rado, when your guys come and meet with the client, please ask them to tell that they're actually coming from East.
Yeah.
And I think that's such an old-fashioned way to think and run business, because then you kind of need to be proud of what you do. If you question in your own value, you end up creating a smoke screen, and that's not good for anyone.
That's a good message, by the way. I think we've seen it sometimes. Like companies say that you are on our behalf, and like I can tell my people, but if they decide not to lie, they would not lie. But recently, it's more like the network effect that you are talking about, and I was quite skeptical of it, but now I see it working when all the parties really want to solve a problem or deliver some kind of value to the client, and we just come together, form a team of 3 companies, and address the needs.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, it's about solving clients' problem, and for us, we have we try to be very flexible when we work with our partners here locally. But there are a few things that we really don't put up with, and that's dishonesty. So we're going to ask, okay, so. Is this person or this team, are they employed by you? Because very often we have a contractual obligation to disclose that. So if you fool me, that's it. I mean, we don't. Our blacklist is very short. They're like 3 companies, but I think
But
it's
there
also,
is one.
I think it's also telling. We don't normally with smaller companies. We don't have this problem. It's just you need to have the earnest talk and say, hey, okay, I understand how this business works. I've been working in Eastern Europe for quite a long time, and it's fine by me, but you tell me how it is. So all of these 3 companies that are on the blacklist are companies that are 100 plus. And I find it alarming that they would have such a culture.
We can get there in a moment, and I know why those companies are doing this, doing it like this. But usually, let's clear out outstaffing.
Sorry, I got on a tangent.
No. That's perfectly fine. This is what we want to do with the podcast. We have for the viewers and for the speakers, we have a framework with topics and questions that we have agreed before the recording with Timo. But the idea is to have the conversation flow. That's what we want to do. So usually people are really confused by outstaffing versus outsourcing versus team augmentation. So
yes.
let's clear those 3.
Yes.
And then we will continue.
Okay. So team augmentation. When I say team augmentation, it means usually that there is a team in place already, and this can be at the end clients. It can come from a local IT company, or it can be a combination of both. And they are they need some talent, something that's missing from the team.
Yeah.
So this is normally team augmentation. These guys become part of a team that already exists, and they also treat it as part of the team. This is especially with Nordic clients. Teams tend to be very inclusive, so it's not like, okay, you're in Bulgaria, you handle these Jira tickets, we don't want to talk to you. It's not like that. They really are part of the team, and this is a very big part of the business.
Yep.
Also because more and more of the IT related things are at the core of a company's business, which means that they need to have know-how internally, which means that they know what they want. Then we also have cases where the client has a similar model, but they're looking for an entire team. But the team is led by the client's management. So there might be a product owner, there might be a technical product owner. In some cases, there might be CTO type of a role or technical lead. Sometimes it's just the product owner. Then outsourcing, I think it's like an umbrella team for buying services from outside. But then the other term where I kind of draw a clear differentiation. So we have staff augmentation, and then kind of on the other end of the scale, we have end-to-end, meaning that we are that the company is there to solve a business problem rather than IT problem. Of course, very often there is a certain IT context. So if the client is doing SAP, and they want to start using SAP commerce modules or HR modules or something like that. So it is very much an IT challenge as well. But in terms of selling it, communicating about it, running it, it is end-to-end. And then within end-to-end, you have projects that are fixed in scope, fixed in price, which these days are not so common anymore. And then kind of the more standard industry model these days is we bill by the hour. So time and material.
Time and material, the so-called,
Yes.
yeah. So we have outsourcing, the umbrella term. I think every time you introduce a tier, like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, the dynamic between the tiers can be called outsourcing.
Yeah.
Then we have outstaffing and team augmentation and staff augmentation. I believe we can like put them in one basket. Where, for example, we as HackSoft, we have some talent here. Then a certain client comes and says, "Hey, we already have teams, but we are lacking these 3 particular positions.
Yes.
So can you help us staff that, fill those gaps?" And our folks are effectively joining and working for the client, and they're being managed and led by the client, filling those gaps. Then we have what Timo mentioned, the end-to-end solution where, for example, a client comes and says, "Hey, I have this business problem.
Yes.
Can you help me solve it?" I don't really care how the team is going to look like. You negotiate on some kind of a budget, and then you start executing. And in this particular bracket, you can include fixed projects where, "Hey, I have this specification. Can you give me a price?" And then you start executing. And then when you give a final price to the client usually don't care how many people are going to be working on the project at all. They care about the outcome. And those are like the modes of working. And then I think all of those modes of working are kind of, if we talk about the business side, how do you price and how do you charge the clients? Then it comes the term time and material. I was always confused by this, like why time and material. But how I understand it is you have hourly rates for different people or different positions. And then the work that you do, you track those hours. And then at the end of the month, you have a timesheet. You sum up everything and you issue an invoice for the total number. And I believe this is the default way of doing business in the IT service industry all over the world. And this is how people usually, if someone is fishing for a price or looking for if something's going to fit within their budget, what you discuss with the clients, and for example, this is from our experience, the clients, they usually ask, what are your rates? Like, this is the question. When we start talking about money, they ask, what are your rates? And
I mean, it's one of the worst ways to measure because we all technical, so we know how it is possible. Everyone talks about the mythical 10 times more productive developer. That's not true. The difference is even bigger. Because sometimes the right answer is not doing it or using a ready-made software. And then whether you pay the person who actually puts these pieces together, whether you pay 50 euros or 500 euros becomes insignificant, because that's not the way you then
the incentives are wrong.
Look at the business value. But quite honestly, we haven't come up with a better way either, because clients' problems are very often very complex, and measuring the outcome of what we do is very difficult. But
especially if we are tier 2 or tier 3.
Yes,
especially because we don't have the connection with the business.
So I've been leading tech teams. I've been a technical product owner. Now I'm CTO again. And I've been leading technical teams. I've been just also last year we used outsourced help for our own IT, and it is so easy to see that if there's a €5 difference on the hourly price, it means absolutely nothing if the difference in productivity is manifold. So I mean, I'm sometimes, we are in this staff augmentation business, so we find for our clients, we find specific expertise or specific teams, but I'm still bothered by the fact that, okay, so you need a .NET developer, okay, here are 10 good professionals that we know of. And then they're like, okay, we really like this guy, but do you think we could get the price down by €3?
Because everyone's working with some kind of a budget and trying to fit within a budget.
Yes,
and
yes.
If you have like a price per hour, it's easy to basically put in Excel or a spreadsheet and run the numbers and see if hiring this team will be within your budget. And I believe this is. We tried fighting with this for some time. We are still effectively, I'm not sure. Yeah, we have one client where we work by the hour right now, but most of our clients, we at least managed to negotiate a monthly fee.
Yes.
Like, hey, we are fully engaged with you. We are solving your problems. Let's not deal with timesheets. Yet, when you are talking with new clients and new business, and we were making this mistake for some time, is when they ask you, hey, what's your rate? And then we start, oh, do you know we don't bill by the hour because this is not a very good idea. This is how, and then you spend 5 to 10 minutes explaining something that the client he or she, they don't care. They just want to hear a number because this number qualifies you. And then we went back to when they ask us about an hourly rate, we just say our hourly rates. And then further down in the negotiation process, we try to figure out if it's going to be a fixed price, or we can figure out a monthly fee, or we need to build trust first, and then we're just going to bill by the hour for the first 3 months, and then we can turn it around for something else.
I think one of the keys there, and something that especially new entrepreneurs very easily forget, and startups. I've been running a startup. I made this mistake myself. So speaking from experience, first thing is that client needs to be able to put you in a box.
Yes.
And that's not a bad thing. The more clear the box is, more easily the client understands what is your place in the value chain. And the other one is, if you're selling something that doesn't have a line in the budget, you are in a world of hurt, because then the client needs to sell internally as well. No, it's very rare that you have a case that someone has got blanche and they can just, okay, we take this. So they need to sell internally. And if there's no line in the budget, they need to fight. They need to fight a lot. So even though I think your example is great and the way you guys are doing it is good, maybe at the end of the day, the way to measure is through some different KPIs.
Yes.
But initially, to get the sale and get the trust of the client, you kind of have to go by the industry standards.
And the industry standard is hourly billing. So what Timo just said is a very important business lesson for everyone who wants to make money from a business. Like, do what the industry is doing, be flexible, because you don't want to give your client a lot of headaches. Like, this was our biggest lesson for 2023. Yeah. And once you establish trust, then the conversation can be much more different, and then you can find something that is tailor-made for your particular relationship with this client. But until then, just do what the industry does, because you need to be put in a box and you need to be put in on a row in a spreadsheet, in a budget, so what you're selling can be justified.
Yes,
extremely important. And just to finish perhaps with the terms before because this is a really important topic.
I think you explain them so much better than I do.
Yeah, I'm good at summarizing.
I think we're gonna take clips of this HackCast and use it in our communications. I tend to go on rambling, but you're very, very good at summarizing.
Yeah, please tell us about nearshoring.
Yeah, so nearshoring, we use that term. Not because we think it's the greatest term in the world, but if you look at kind of the first wave of going outside of your country. This was very often Southeast Asia, especially India. It was little, especially for American companies, it was very much similar to what's AI. All of a sudden, look, we get, for the same money, we get 3 times the output. Then over time, companies learned that it wasn't true. Very often, you would pay that money, and then you would need to redo it. So the outsourcing, whether it's in States or it's in the Nordics, can have a bit of a bad ring to it. Some of the companies have been solving it by creating kind of a ticketing interface. So you just put in tickets, somebody on the other end picks up the tickets. You don't really know what's happening there. It's a black box. So this, another term again, offshoring, was a big thing 15 years ago on the kind of the first wave. It turned a lot of companies, a lot of people off from going outside of their country. So nearshoring, I think, is more about it's being on the same time zone, it's being culturally closer.
All right.
Is being able to integrate with the client's way of working. That is maybe it's a sales term. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's
a differentiation.
So Bulgaria is a nearshoring destination for Europe.
Yes,
but not for the States.
Not for the States. No,
not for the States. Yeah, it's just a side note. The first time I heard nearshoring, I was thinking, oh, someone's building an office at Varna or Burgas. There's the shore in the.
I mean, yeah, from Sofia perspective, makes complete sense. We mountain sourcing here in Sofia.
You should trademark this before we air the episode. And this brings us to now, if we take a more cynical view at the Bulgarian IT ecosystem, one can say that we exist because our labor is cheap. And of course, I believe there is a certain truth to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's how the industry has been born. Whether how true it is today is different. When we built the company back over 15 years ago, I was very adamant about building it with the mindset of one company, 2 locations. So our main thing was never about selling the cheapest possible price. It would allow us to put more hours in, so we would get higher quality out. But already then, I saw, first of all, the talent. Wow, there really is world-class talent here. Yeah. And then when you take into account that this industry is servicing, I saw some number which was 93% of IT professionals work with customers or teams that are outside of Bulgaria. So this is a super international community. Everyone here speaks English, very good English. And kind of the mindset and thinking, because we're a small market, is very global from the get-go.
All right. Yeah.
And the fact that we been working in distributed teams and in a distributed fashion long before COVID has also helped us to build expertise. How do you lead a team that's culturally diverse, geographically diverse, technically diverse? I would claim you find many more tech leads in Bulgaria than you find in Finland that has experience about this, because it's not just about tech, even though we are in tech industry, so many of the things are about culture. It's about connecting between people, it's about connecting the cultures, understanding the cultural differences. And this is one of the things that we just forget to bring up. And then is one thing I often say, one of the commonalities between Finland and Bulgaria is that we're small countries, and we always been a little bit under a thumb of someone, or at least scared of being under a thumb of someone, producing a little bit poor national self-esteem. So I think both Finland and Bulgaria have more things to be proud of that people recognize inside the country. Price is still important. So obviously, a lot of the companies initially start looking at the Eastern European market to get some kind of price advantage, though in last year's, not talking about 2023, but 2022 and several years before, it was also you just couldn't find the talent on your local market, so you would look here. But also in terms of price competitiveness, we're not so competitive in all cases.
Yep. We started, I believe, as a cheap labor destination, but what you said is really important, that you can have team leads here that can lead diverse distributed teams. And perhaps one of the biggest achievements of our educational system is, I'm not sure if this applies to all schools, but 8th grade we only had English and mathematics. And sports, and this helped everyone at least learn to speak some kind of English. I don't think our English is that decent, but
come on,
at least we
can
give
yourself a little bit more credit.
You know what's really hard when you have clients here over and we have to explain the food, because nobody taught you how to say dill or other things. But that's a different topic. If we're talking about pricing and prices, I think the general or the average hourly rates are, at least this is not data driven, but this is what I've seen driven, between 30 and 50 euros or dollars per hour. Would you agree with that? Or
Yeah, okay. So it's we have quite a bit of data about the price levels, and actually we build a data portal to share information about what's going on in the IT market, both in Eastern Europe and in the Nordics. This was data that we kind of wanted to publish because price is dependent on very many factors. Apparently, according to our legal, it's really, really not a good idea to publish it. So we're not doing it. But so first you look at the seniority. Unfortunately, kind of as we talked about, okay, what's the hourly price? People look at the years. Years, again, are not the best measure, but they give you at least some idea. So it's about seniority. And now if we talk about senior talent, I would say that the average price is between 40, 55, but it can go up to 100. So we do have specialty roles. If you're a consultant on a specific ecosystem, for example, we deal with SAP, Salesforce, and some of these consulting roles can go even over 100. But it's justified. But again,
there's scarcity of
contrast.
talent,
So the range is quite big, and there are companies that price themselves differently. At the end of the day, if you look at how well the companies are doing, there's not that huge differences on how much they're living under the dotted line. But different companies do have different pricing standards. I hate to talk about prices as absolutes because there's always
always context, but I think right now even the seniority doesn't really matter, because the negotiations are happening with just hourly rates, like average numbers, and then you can add seniority in the mix, but usually the negotiations are give me a range and I'll tell you if this range is applicable for me, and then we can figure out how to distribute the numbers within this range to the different people.
Yeah, I mean, like the way you guys are doing it with the retainer model, I think it's much healthier because then it also encourages to bring in more junior people. For the health of the industry, health of the team, and health of the project, it would be good to have diversity there. This is something that we face often. So we have a client coming in and we need 4 super seniors for this. And then when we start kind of dissecting that, okay, what is it that you need to do? What's the challenge here? And then you see, okay, there's a legacy Java system, and then there's a lot of converting these things to a newer version, and then this very standardized integration that's going to several different places, but it's basically quite basic things that need to be done. So if you take 4 very senior people who are used to building greenfield meaning that projects that are built from scratch, they're not going to stay there longer than 2 months.
Yep.
Either they're going to start fighting with each other on what's the right approach, or then they're like, oh man, I don't want to do this shoveling. If you have diversity, then that's an excellent chance for more junior person to learn. And everyone's more happy because, especially when we talk about long-term development, you're fighting against churn, so you want to retain people in the project because onboarding new people is expensive.
Yeah, and losing project knowledge is expensive. So, and to summarize this topic, we have an industry not only because we are a cheap destination, and this has not been like the case. We're not the cheapest destination, especially in recent years. And there is enough disparity between what salary is considered high and can provide you a good means of living here in Bulgaria, and what you can charge a client that's coming. We are mostly working with Western companies, but for them the cost savings are justified enough to pay you this, and then your costings are justified enough to pay those salaries, which in a relatively small country, which is still being developed as an economy, and we're part of the European Union, hopefully. This like makes what was the word? Not leverage, but when you trade on prices, what was arbitrage? Like this, like we have a pretty good base for arbitrage between what clients are willing to pay and what people are willing to get the salaries in order to have some kind of security. Because you can always be a freelancer and work at the final prices, but this is a different topic. Sometimes you just stay 6 months without work because you don't know how to get new work, and this builds the foundation of the Bulgarian IT ecosystem. And the business is you staff teams with people that are working for you. Sometimes you build teams inside your company that are solving a direct business problem. And sometimes you build teams inside your company that are teams for a particular company that wants to have this price arbitrage because it makes sense to them, but they also see that our talent is good and they can deliver, and there is a certain culture match and certain culture fit. And this kinds of lays the foundation for the Bulgarian IT ecosystem.
And of course, the traditions. So we have traditions in IT for a long time. Without the good amount of people, you can't really build the industry. So we have math schools, we have good universities teaching IT, we have academies, a lot of academies that are helping. They're helping for sure to build this base of people you can work with.
Yeah, I've circled juniors here, and we can get there because I have a rant about them. But before we get there, do you want to take a break?
First, I wanna address this very quickly. Well, I always say quickly, and then I go on a 5-minute rant. You need to stop me when I do that. One of the things that I see here that makes me proud and to be part of the industry is that companies take training junior people very seriously. So it's a matter of pride in for these companies, and it's funny because we've helped facilitating on a couple M&A cases, and the companies that I talk to here underline the cultural fit and the contribution to the surrounding ecosystem really a lot. So this creates a base also for advancement of the industry, because if you don't have junior people if you don't find the opportunities for them to learn at work, then your industry is going to stay quite steady. Now, I can see, as you said, we have Soft Uni, we have Telerik Academy, these days we have a lot of regional schools, all the way from 7-year-old to professionals, feeding people to this industry. But the kind of the responsibility of individual companies and the management is very important, and this is something that's really good in this country, in my opinion.
Yeah, and a big shout out to the Faculty of Mathematics and Informatics in Sofia.
Yes.
I believe this is the place where everything started, and the academies were born, and the talents that made the academies actually work were studying there at the Faculty of Mathematics and Informatics. So a big shout out to the ELO building.
Sounds like you spent some time there. Huh?
Yeah, 7 years, almost 8, never finished. Dropped out eventually. All right, should we take a break?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's take a break and then we can continue.
Our next goal is 2,500 subscribers on YouTube. And what is going to be the price?
We are actually asking all around our social media profiles, and if you want to receive something or you think something is a good gift idea, write us a comment underneath this video. Of course, give a thumbs up.
After the break.
Commercial break.
Commercial break. So, Timo, what topic would you like to cover next?
Ooh, good question. I have a long list. I think talking about IT and IT industry, and from a business side of things, it would not be very fair if we didn't address the current market situation, what's led up to it, and how we're going to get out of it. What are the results? Because I've been on the IT industry for a long time, which means that I've seen few ups and downs. I built my first company when I was 18. I built my first startup during the .com boom. Yes, I'm really that old. So I've seen it go. This is one of the very few industries that switches so fast between problem from sales to problem of supply. I mean, you have industries that have a constant supply problem. If you're in the home cleaning business, you're always struggling with supply. Sales is not your problem. So IT industry, real estate industry, I don't know, maybe you can think of some other industry, but these are industries where the change happens very fast. And very fast doesn't mean in a year or a year and a half or 2 years. It means months.
We saw that last year. Yeah.
Yes. We started because we get data from both sides. We get data from our partners, and we occasionally also survey from our partners how is the business outlook. And of course we can see it from how well we get proposals. So when we say that, okay, we're going to need this type of a team to 2022, we had to then pick up the phone and call and plead and put teams together where people will come from different companies. 2023, when we did the same, we would get a lot of proposals, and we would get a lot of companies reaching out to us and saying, okay, we all of a sudden we have this team coming free. Would you have a client that's interested in this? Quite honestly, our market got way overheated. So we started looking at a little bit before Russia's terrible unlawful attack to Ukraine. Already a little bit before that, we started seeing that, okay, there's probably going to be a turn in the market. We were looking at some bigger trends. And then when the war happened, we basically started a clock and said, okay, to 2022, end of the year, this situation will start unraveling. And it happened. At the moment, we're not making predictions. We're not trying to say that, okay, things will be hunky-dory in 2024, end of the year. I mean, all bets are off. But the thing that we did see, especially 2022, kind of the side effects were from completely overheated market. There's several factors. So one is, of course, that businesses and people in the business start becoming arrogant. They start neglecting the basics. People stop developing themselves, unfortunately. You still have, especially in Bulgaria, you still have a lot of people that are very driven by technology, by advancing, not in terms of money, but in terms of passion towards the trade. But globally, as a whole, we've seen more and more people coming to the industry because of money. So they just want to make a big buck. They don't necessarily understand that in order to make the big buck in this industry, you need to be also passionate. This is somewhat of, at least I view it as somewhat of a lifestyle business in a sense as well. And then because the supply, so availability of talent started becoming so limited, a lot of the ventures just wouldn't start. There was a budget decision, and then the 6 months went, and they still didn't have the team together. So I think it was a good thing that we saw a little cooling off. The level of what it's reached, it's painful for many, because I think it's also because 2022 still ended very strong. We looked at the financials of companies. My goodness, I've never seen IT companies do that. That big profit, which then led to situation that maybe when some of the companies should have been downsizing, they didn't. So they started eating the cash reserves, which is kind of understandable if your primary problem last 5 years has been on recruitment. You hired a bunch of recruiters just to attract talents, and then all of a sudden you should let them go. So you rather not do it. I think a lot of the industry 2023 was still very hopeful that, okay, this is a bump. This will pass.
And just to say, from the company's perspective, the talent your people is what makes you money.
Yeah,
And
it's
if
not
you,
just money. Is I know how it is, especially when you're a smaller company. You really want to do right by people. You really want to make sure that your team is well, and obviously when you need to let people go, and as a business owner, you might be faced with such a decision. You also thinking that, okay, if I start letting people go, it means that each and every one of my valuable team members are going to start prepping up their CVs.
yes,
So this is something that you don't want happening. But unfortunately, if you have 50% of the people that are not billing, you need to do something, because it's also not fair for the other 50%. Because you are setting yourself up to fail. But yeah, I mean, the situation is not cool. It's not good.
I think what you just described, like finishing 2022 very strongly, like a very strong finish financially, and then first half of 2023 was like riding high. Oh, let's. There's a lot of business. Things are looking good. We experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
Like up until Q1 and Q2 of 2023, things were great.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, like within a month, things just started deteriorating one by one, from companies not raising money from VCs because VCs just don't want to give money away right now, to businesses downscaling because there's a lot of uncertainty there, to and this is what I mentioned to Timo during the break. Like we close a deal, we sign a contract, the client does not follow up, or we issue an invoice and this invoice never gets paid. Like the level of uncertainty that we got from riding high, things are great, we are great, and arrogance is a big problem. And even for us, I think we were quite arrogant the first half of the year. From getting from there to basically you don't know what you're going to do this year. Like all bets are off, all plans for growth are off, and with the companies that I talked to the last couple of weeks, everyone is kind of in a survival mode right now.
Yeah.
And we're recording this January 2024.
Yeah.
So
yeah. This is very unfortunate. This is obviously, it's a global phenomenon, and kind of to understand, you really need to go to macroeconomics. You need to look at the basics. Why is this happening? Cost of money is a big driving factor. After all, this industry, there are basically three reasons for an enterprise to invest. It is either to save costs, generate new revenues, or meet compliance. And then a lot of the work that's been fueling our industry, especially the greenfield stuff, the cool projects, have been very forward-looking. And now, if all of a sudden the cost of money, because the cost of money is it doesn't affect only startups, it affects enterprises as well. Yeah. They unless you Apple, who has a war chest like no other, you are at the mercy of money markets as well. And the combination, first we had the inflation, that was just crazy. Yeah. And then the Fed and central bank measures on driving up interests. And as I was saying on the break, from a Bulgarian perspective, this is it's a strange and new situation, because our mortgage rates here in Bulgaria are cheaper than anywhere else in the EU. Yep. In Finland, we saw a bump where a normal household for mortgage, your effective interest rate was below 1, so 0.85 you might be. So I mean, then money you use on your living becomes funny money. It's not like real anymore. And when this has been going on for 10, 15 years, the apartment and house prices have been doubling several times over.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you bump up the interest rates to 4%. Now, if your household income is at if you're well off, fairly well off, if your household income is 150,000 and your mortgage is 300,000, you are in a world of hurt. And then it's easier to understand, of course, from a personal perspective, but kind of the same applies to companies as well. And then if we were hopeful last year that, okay, the money markets will recover quite fast and we're going to see the interest rates dropping and the demand will start going up again. A lot of the enterprises were holding back on investments just to make sure that they survive.
Yep.
A lot of the startups were faced with the situation where their funding rounds wouldn't close. VC funding 2023 already on the first half of the year in States was down by 60%. So both of these combined, all of a sudden you simply have less work. Yep. Of course, there's depth about things that should have been built last year. So I think we're going to see slight increase in investments on the first half of the year, but I also don't think it will be huge. It's more like a little tick up, and then I mean, as an IT entrepreneur, it makes sense to follow the interests. It makes sense to follow the startup investments because investing on startups is tricky. Yep. Getting your money out of there, and at the moment, if you have, because there is money. I mean, there is liquidity, but if you get better payback from just interests, why would you put money on a risky startup?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then this year we have this wonderful promise of AI. So I think this is purely speculation from my side, but I do think there are quite a few ventures or business decision makers that are holding back, wondering that, okay, if I started building this only at the end of the year, maybe I would get it for 1/3 of the price because AI is already so advanced. I mean, we all been blindsided by how fast things have been happening with ChatGPT.
Yep. And it's pushing, I think also AI is also pushing the prices down in our industry and also in the creative industry, because right now you can build things that you haven't had experience before. If you are generally like a good problem solver, AI can enable you to do that, and it's like
it's learning on
it's
steroids.
A curse and it's a blessing.
It's learning on steroids, but we as techies, we're driven by problems, we're driven by challenges. We want to learn new things, and I agree. Having the AI as your chat buddy makes learning completely different. For example, last year I spent some time learning Terraform, which is an infrastructure management language, description language. I probably would not have done it if it wasn't for ChatGPT, because it allowed me to move so fast on getting it to production. But this is not necessarily just a good thing, because it adds to complexity of everything. So we're already suffering in the software industry of
over-engineering,
over-complex solutions. Maybe before, if you would have one monolithic backend built with one version of Java or Python or PHP, now you have 7 microservices running with 3 different languages and 2 different data storages and all of that. we have that at East. That's why I can tell so well. And then you throw on top of that code that's purely generated by ChatGPT or Copilot, that the developer doesn't fully understand what it does.
Yep.
So we end up with the same problem as we had with the first outsourcing wave. How you get output, but how useful is it at the end of the day?
Let's go to the AI topic in a second, because it's also something that I'd like to explore and discuss. But just to finish with the current market conditions, at least for me, the biggest lesson from last year was that what we do, let's say, and at HackSoft, we try to also do product. We are training everyone, or like at least our team leads, and we try to help our clients on the product and business side of things, meaning let's build the things that will drive and generate revenue for you rather than simply building things for the sake of building things. And what I realized last year is that even though we do a perfect job on the engineering side and a perfect job on the helping them with the products and to drive revenue side, since we are not in control of the actual business and the actual revenue generation, the moment that the recession or the recession hits, or we are on a downturn, economic downturn, we, from an investment that our clients are really happy to do, overnight become cost.
Yeah.
And they need to cut that cost. This was my general realization for the business that we are building, and I'm still wondering what we can do. I was joking we should build a marketing agency, because at least we can help with revenue generation and demand generation. But this was like, some of our clients are so happy working with us that they kind of don't know the team. They don't care who's on the team. They're getting things deployed to production. They're getting things working. They're making money out of their software. But since we are not in the actual money-making business, we become cost. And no matter how good our relationship is, we're going to get cut.
I mean, this will never change. Because also the success of IT project, the technology is just a small part of it. Yeah. You need to get people behind it internally, and this is where things often fail. So maybe you build the greatest things and sliced bread that's bringing together marketing and sales, but you never get marketing and sales to talk to each other. So your marketing machine is feeding amazing qualified leads to sales, and the salespeople are saying that, oh, this system is too hard to use, so I'm just going to use my Rolodex. And of course, kind of the degree of control for the success, it depends on where you are on the value chain. Yes. And what is the value that you're trying to bring to your clients. That's why a lot of the IT projects, the control of those is actually on the big consulting companies, because they start from the business problem. They build the processes to support the IT solution that's coming later down the line. But to get there is a tricky proposition. So my kind of instinctive proposal for that would be to find a much tighter focus, because if you can focus what you do, if you really get deeper into understanding the industry, or particular area of technology, it's easier for clients to remember what is it that you do. Yeah. You in a box, and then your added value goes up regardless of what's your business model. you bring more value because the client doesn't need to teach you the basics of business. The risk there is, of course, that again we talk about arrogance, and this I've seen on the marketing side a lot. All of a sudden, people think that okay, they know their business better than the clients.
Yeah.
That's very, very rarely true. So it's about finding a right kind of a balance. But I do think focus is super important. And then, because we see a lot of our partners investing on doing more outbound sales. So people who were doing recruitment 2022 have now been trained up to do outbound sales in 2023. Everybody's shouting. I mean, I have clients that get close to 100 approaches in LinkedIn in a week.
Wow.
And people from all over the world. If your title is CTO on a big company or CIO, you get bombarded. Your phone is ringing off the hook. It's red. It's all the time. So what do you do in this kind of a market situation? Are you going to become one of those who shout more, or are you doing what you guys are doing, which I think is amazing? You've been very, very consistent on creating something that people want to come to. Because you need to be able to turn it around, but yeah, I mean, I don't have a silver bullet.
Yeah, we don't have a solution either. We're just thinking, hey, we have a pretty good team. Whenever we engage with someone, they're pretty happy with us, and we help them drive their business. But perhaps we need to think about something for those downtimes.
Yeah, I think it's also about truly understanding your clients and their reasons for choosing you and liking you, because it's very easy if you don't ask them directly. And this is what we talked about service design the other time. Service design is a lot about research. It's about understanding your target audience and their pains and gains. We might think, okay, they like working with us because we're so brilliant. We have such a good technology understanding, and we're so fast at delivering. While it might be that it is very straightforward to deal with Rado. As I pick up the phone, I don't need to explain things. So if that's actually the competitive advantage, then maybe you should start bringing that up in the value proposition. Of course, that's very hard because everyone says that they are the most customer oriented and all of that. But can you find a way to twist that to bring it more to be part of your competitive advantage? And that's why things like we just did for our own company. Business model canvas.
Nice.
and every year we go through the personas who we talk to, how we bring value to them, and then we conduct interviews. We're very blessed to have networks. So we have people who can say, okay, talk to Timo, do the interview, and we do an interview. It's not a sales call; it's an interview to understand the pain points. So even though we've been in the industry a long time, you still don't understand. You assume, you assume.
And the less you validate, the more arrogant you get. I think something
or illusioned
or delusioned. Yeah. Well, that's something that we definitely need to work on, because this particular realization was like important one that you are a cost when the times are bad, and we'll we'll definitely keep on looking at this, because we want to continue growing and at least maintain what we're doing, because everyone here is kind of, I think people working at HackSoft are kind of happy to work at HackSoft, because they enjoy the process, they enjoy the freedom, they like their colleagues, but yeah.
At the end of the day, you need to be able to pay your bills.
Yeah.
That's very true. But I think it's a very important and good insight. I don't know if it was the client telling it or it was your own insight, but understanding that yes, you can be a cost item, not a revenue generating item. It's about facing realities. It's not right or wrong. It doesn't mean that you couldn't succeed in this business by just being a cost item, but it's good to be aware of it.
Yeah, well, there's this term called just business, which when we, back in the years when we were hearing this from clients, hey, it's just business at the end, we were taking it quite personally. But I think we managed to turn it around, and sometimes we're also like, hey, it's just business, at the end of the day.
Yep.
And speaking, so what would you like to see in the Bulgarian IT industry to happen? What is your wish list, or the direction that you think we should all go or drive to in order to grow? We're at 4 billion right now. How do we get to 8 or 10?
My wish has very much to do with personal development. So one of the things that I've always appreciated a lot about Bulgarian IT culture and working with Bulgarian colleagues is that we have a culture here where people are driven. They're passionate to learn. They're passionate to advance. And the past years, where the demand has been through the roof, I also see more and more people that have kind of forgotten this. I mean, I interview maybe between 50 and closer. Probably last year I interviewed maybe 100 people.
All right.
Technical interviews. And one of the things that I always try to understand is that what's your relationship to technology? Is it a job? Is it 9 to 5? Did you end up in the business because you just wanted to build something? And I'm not saying either is right or wrong, because as business matures, you also need people that come there just to work. That's a healthy sign. But regardless of which side of the fence you are, developing oneself is super important. And when things are a little lower, people tend to also lose some of the drive that they have. But this is the opportunity. This is the opportunity to build. And then in terms of again, kind of expensive lessons, because I used to run a service provider company, and we were doing end to end. We were doing staff augmentation, not so much of that, more end to end. And then we were building our own products. The company really started making much better profit when we found the focus. So we killed all the product ventures. We understood that you can be two at the same time.
Yeah.
Products are great for keeping people engaged and keeping them busy, but then you tend to overinvest there, and you start looking at problems that, okay, I have a hammer. That must be a nail. It doesn't look like a nail, but you think if we hammer it enough, it becomes a nail. So focus again. I mean, I'm not saying don't do product, but as a small company, focus is really important. We struggle with it as well. We've just been doing this year's planning, and we're focusing more. I'm slightly frustrated that we kind of the outcome of our focusing still keeps us across verticals. So we're still working with all different technologies and different industries. But if I was running a software company, I would definitely go for very tight focus.
You will focus on technology, or you will focus on like industry segment, or
it would depend where my strength was.
all right.
But this was a big learning. My previous startup, we built a platform for developing native mobile apps entirely from the back end. So server side built native apps.
Nice.
And the biggest learning, biggest mistake that we did was that we were trying to be everything for everyone. So we would build Tinder clones, we would build business apps, we would build apps that were integrated with some business systems. Whereas if we chose a very, very narrow vertical niche or an ecosystem to tap into, you have an ecosystem, you have the Django ecosystem that you tapped into, and this is hugely valuable. And I just wish that we would have realized that sooner, that okay, you as a small company, you can be everything for everyone.
All right, yeah, that's we've gotten throughout the years a lot of business by simply being in the Django industry, without our in the Django ecosystem, without our intention being we are there for the business. We were there because we were kind of liking it, and we still are. But my problem with focus is every time we try to focus on something, then the leads that we are getting are for something else. When we focus on the Django industry, like we are getting folks that say, we don't need help with that right now, but I have someone, let me connect you with this someone. And then this someone is in an entirely different industry doing entirely different thing. And one of our value propositions is we are fast learners. You know, we'll learn the domain in a month or two and start building. But
and I believe that, and I suffer from the same, and especially for when you're a small company owner, and you're weighing in. Okay, am I gonna stick to my focus, or am I gonna make sure that these 4 guys have work to do? Becomes very, very difficult. Well, it doesn't. You're gonna make sure that these 4 guys.
And it's always about those 4 guys or girls have something to do.
Yeah. But a good measure of whether you're focused or not is not where you get the business from. It's what you say no to. So if you're not saying no to business, then you don't have focus. Then you're just out there selling.
All right, so we definitely don't have a focus.
This is probably the hardest year alongside 2023 to be there and say we have a focus, and we're gonna say no to your business. So I mean,
it's something to think about.
Well, we used to say no to a lot of business opportunities in like last year and the year before that. Now the situation is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because the thing that we are selling, or we think internally that we are selling, is teams. Like what we are strongest at is building teams. Technology, fine, we're passionate about technology, we're pretty good with it. But we really like building teams that can do the work, and you're not even noticing them. And that's why when we were saying no, it felt strange, because you are leaving money on the table. And now when there's a lot of companies have problems that need to be solved on the people level. And then you introduce a team lead, and then you build a team around that. And when you have a functioning team, then the problems that they're solving are coming second. And I think that's why we realized we were leaving a lot of money on the table, and we started saying yes to way more many things where we still provide value. But because we are people oriented and we like building teams. I think that's the truth about HackSoft. We like building teams. We like having those people around and working with them.
And I mean that's great. That's a lifeblood of a company. And I think I know enough about what you do. You've been doing a great job, but is it enough to differentiate? Are you able to convince your clients that you are so much better at it than the company next door? That's at the end of the day, even though you have all the operational excellency, that's great. But as a small company, you need to make your clients understand that there is something that's different about you. It can be a personality, it can be a personal relationship. At the end of the day, it is always trust. So trust is always, you can't have a business relationship without trust. But how do you get to the point where you can start building that trust? You need to differentiate somehow. And price is a poor differentiator. Good customer service or capability on building with the latest and greatest technology is often poor. There are cases, though, for example, if you have a very specific niche technology,
SAP, for example.
SAP is not niche, but if you take one of the modules and then you look at one part of that module, for example, integrating with Salesforce, so maybe there's a company that uses SAP and they use Salesforce and they use the commerce tools and then the special know-how in integration, then all of a sudden the pool starts becoming much smaller and your competition becomes much smaller. So then it's possible that people who are your clients know about your existence, because one thing is the saying no part. The other part is understanding who are not your clients. So when you go through the exercise of building those profiles, you need to have a lot of people that are just not relevant to your business. And for that, I recommended the service design framework.
Waiting for the book to arrive.
I mean, you can get it electronic.
But sometimes if the topic is important, you want a hardcover book.
You want to read that book. And then you want to do a few of those exercises. Because, as said, it's so easy to assume.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a topic that we will definitely come back to, and I believe because Timo, we've left a lot of other things on the table.
I'm sorry about that. No, I don't tend to get a little.
That's the general idea.
Rambling and
that's the general idea of the podcast, and I hope everyone listening and watching, they do enjoy. We will most certainly do a second episode with Timo. How are we? All right, so let's say it like this: we will most certainly do a second episode with Timo in order to cover some other things. So we can now say the thing about the keyboard.
Do you promise the second episode?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
Teddy, one more promised episode in the book.
That is maintaining a list of promised episodes by Rado.
I was teasing the guys that they really be milking this keyboard a lot.
The keyboard's gone.
We don't have it anymore. Where is it?
It's in the car.
It's here.
We do have it. We actually recorded the video of us picking one of our 1,000 subscribers. We went over 1,000 subscribers, so thank you very much. This means a lot to us and a lot to Teddy. So we have a winner. We will be uploading the video. Well, by the time of you watching this episode, the video will be already out. So what's our next goal?
So our next goal is 2,500.
Yes.
Subscribers on YouTube. And what is going to be the price.
We are actually asking all around our social media profiles, and if you want to receive something or you think something is a good gift idea, write us a comment underneath this video. Of course, give a thumbs up. Timo, what would you suggest?
That's a difficult one.
A Lambo.
No, something reasonable.
All right.
I like experiences. Okay, bringing people to Bulgaria might be a little far-fetched, but being here in Bulgaria, I would love to have a weekend on Rhodope. Bulgaria has magical mountains. We were in August. We were in Rhodope, my favorite mountain range in Bulgaria.
It's really magical.
I haven't slept that well in several years.
All right, I wrote this down. That's actually a good idea, and we might think about it.
I'll give you another idea, also related to well-being. I have this is a Finnish invention. It's a smart ring.
All right.
One of the best investments on life quality. So it's a sleep tracker. What sets them apart is that their algorithm is very good. So this is very close to medical sleep tracking device, and it has given me so many insights. For example, I stopped alcohol 3 years ago. This is one of the reasons. I could see how it was affecting my sleep and my readiness. So here's another tip.
Do you need to charge it?
You need to charge it, but it lasts several days, which is pretty amazing. Apple Watch, you need to charge every day. This will go 5 days.
Wow.
Thank you very much. We've written this down, and we will figure out in one of the next episodes what we're going to give. Important thing, when you are subscribing, if you want to be participating for whatever we are going to do with subscribers, make sure your subscription to our channel is public. Otherwise, we cannot see it. How to make your subscription public? Well, you can ask Google, or you can just ask Google. ChatGPT was not giving good answers for this. And to finish, on the next time we invite you, we're going to talk about AI in more details. All right.
Thank you.
Promised. Let's finish with the human side of things.
Sure.
How do you rest and recharge?
I have few go-tos. So I'm a big food enthusiastic. I cook a lot. Because I'm a nerd, I go all nerd out with my cooking also. When you see my kitchen, you understand. It's full of gadgets. Now I'm more on the traditional Bulgarian, so fermenting and all of that.
Oh, nice.
And then sports. I do road cycling, snowboarding, and swimming. Those are my sports. Also, this is not a sports tracker. It's not a paid advertising. It's not a sports tracker, but it's a good way to keep track. So I do about 150 sports sessions per year. I try to keep that up. What's a little funny, but especially when I was still the CEO, one of my favorite relaxation activities was coding. But in general,
not anymore.
I would say in general, try to limit your working hours to reasonable level, and you just feel much better. For me, it's steady sports and sleep are kind of the cornerstones, and then of course my lovely family. I work with my wife, so we together basically 24/7, and then I have 3 wonderful kids. So doing things with them, I'm blessed.
You are indeed. Well, Timo, I think this was an extremely interesting episode. I was really looking forward to it.
Likewise, thank you. I mean, you guys have really, really good insights, and I've been a big fan of your video cast and your marketing in general. I think you're an exemplary company on how, as a small company, make a difference, produce content that is worthwhile, because now with all this AI content, there is so much BS out there. The fact that you guys really put thought into it, I say thank you.
Thank you very much. And this is our gift to you. We are giving it on camera.
I think my shoe size is a little bigger.
And thank you everyone for watching. Ivo, would you like to close?
Like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.